Please comment with nothing offensive that you can hear us.
See, it's weird when I talk. Okay, there we go. I think maybe we might be back. Let me see. Now the screen is. You're good.
And that guy sounds great.
See, it's weird when there we go. All right, I think we might be here now.
Who's that douchebag?
Big time douchebag, angry douchebag. Yes.
Really?
I hope all the 4,000 that was on the other stream will come back over. Why are you picking up now? Oh my gosh, this is and the weird thing, man, everything was going good for like all the way up to when we hit record. Like we've had no issues today.
Yeah, I mean, this is my best start.
Anyway,
I'm never gonna.
We'll just act like the show's been going on. If you're just joining us, we apologize. We had some technical issues. I'm trying to verify that it's working or not. But anyway, I guess the Jags already went 3 and out or something.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, I'm just saying there's a commercial. I'm sure they've already kicked off, and we're not still in those commercials.
It is 6-0 Buffalo.
Did they miss the extra point?
I guess so.
Do you not have a scoreboard up?
It just says 6-0.
Oh, it's just a standard scoreboard. I guess. Weirdly, all of a sudden, a weird night out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's 6-0. Let's see.
Unless it was like an injury, or are they reviewing maybe? I know it was close. No, I told you Trevor Lawrence is already on. Yeah, so they've already either went 3 and out or he threw a interception, or maybe he fumbled. Ooh, for the knee.
Oh, Jags punted 3 and out.
Yeah, 3 and out. And Lawrence is banged up. Allen now brings up the troops. ABC, of course, you've got Washington and Bengals. They're starting here in about 10 minutes. 6-0 here, Buffalo. They had a really good drive to begin things.
Bass's extra point was blocked.
That's what happened.
Yeah. Pretty good job. Hey, special teams in the house.
We were just talking about yesterday. There was a couple block punts. We had a couple each week almost.
Yeah, and there's things going in with the kickoff, with the format. There's issues there, but so far it's so good. I don't have any issues with it right now. As a Cowboy fan, there's 3 parts of a team. There's like offense, there's defense, and there's special teams. For the Cowboys, I think special teams is the only thing that's going well right now. We've had a punt return for a touchdown. We've had a punt block. We've had onside kick recovery.
Yeah.
And Brandon Aubrey. He's been kicking 60-yard field goals. He's just been killing it right now. So I'm happy with special teams. If offense or defense can show up, 2 thumbs up. I think this will be a playoff team. I'm more focused on the defensive side. I'm okay with a lackluster offense, but I'm more of a.
Why are you okay with a lackluster offense?
Because a strong, sound defense can make up for a lot of the offense.
Not in today's era. I disagree with you totally, man.
The 2023 Kansas City Chiefs will prove that wrong.
Okay, 1 out of their 3 Super Bowls, you can say the defense led the offense. The other 2?
It is recency bias.
I mean, the first Super Bowl, it was really legitimately all offense. And that's the beauty of what the Chiefs have done, though, is they've been, again, I don't understand we still have an organization that believes you're either all in or tearing down. Why can't you be you can always be doing everything at once. As one position ages out or contracts out, you replace that, then you have strength in other positions. So as you can, defensive tackles might not be great. That's fine. Your defensive ends carry the work. Speaking on the defense, let's look at the fact that nice play by the Bill. They look good early.
Hey, he's coming in the year 2.
Yep, and he developed slowly last year at the point where it was like, why did they even draft him? But about week 10 on, he kind of started finding his throat. But like with Dallas with Micah Parsons, talked about this. The worst thing that they could do was always have him in the wrong position. meaning he's not making impactful plays from either the end or the linebacker, and that's exactly what's happening. Is they have both the last two teams have just taken him out of the game by simply running at him. You run at a guy like Michael Parsons because the one thing he can't do is use his athleticism when the blockers are coming right at him. And it feels like 2020 again with Dick Nolan. It feels like Dallas's defense is two calls behind on every play. Like there was even look, and the offense struggled for part of it. But give the Cowboy offense credit in the second half and Dak in the second half. They legitimately got the Cowboys back in the game. But at any point, did you really feel that they were back in the game with that defense?
No, I felt that at any point the Ravens needed to do something offensively. They could do a rollout with Lamar Jackson. They could roll up the gut. Derrick Henry had 25 carries for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Cowboys were not stopping Derrick Henry yesterday.
I mean, he looked like Derrick Henry of 4 years ago.
He really did. And it just took a game against a pretty bad run defense of the Dallas Cowboys. All of this can be corrected. Again, it's too early in the season. We don't know what the 2024 Cowboys identity is. It could be this, or it could be a great team, or it could be much worse. We don't know yet.
Yeah. Oh, almost an interception there. Yeah, but man, I totally agree with you that things can change 1,000%. We've seen that many times. We even talked about earlier, maybe we're just trying to be nice, but hey, this is a situation where we see a lot of good teams do this early and then they figure it out. Maybe Dallas finally isn't going to be peaking in week 6, but they're peaking in weeks 15 to 16. But in saying that, the last two games, offensively, have looked the exact same. That's called a trend. And now the problem is you're not going to see that again this week. Even if they were to somehow lose, I don't see. I just don't Giants have the personnel to run for 250 yards on. But after that, they're going to be playing the Atlanta Falcons, the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, teams that all can't. Washington, if Washington wants to, and you don't think Dan Quinn doesn't know the weaknesses of a lot of these players?
Oh, yes, he does.
You're going to, and the thing about the NFL is once you can't do anything on defense, one specific thing that you can't do, every good team is going to attack that until you stop it. And I'm hoping with all hope that I'm wrong, but I'm just starting to feel that maybe Dallas just doesn't have I don't know. I keep going back to it. I just feel like the organization in of itself is being apathetic right now. And that's the thing that bothers me the most.
Yeah, especially in off-season when they said that they were.
I wish you'd stop that. I really wish everybody stopped that because it was very obvious after the fact that was in the moment and he never meant it.
But why you say it?
Because Jerry Jones is stupid. This is the dude that talked about glory holes and jock sniffing and all that. And apparently got on a Jamie Foxx live stream and was talking about measurables and stuff.
I'm just mad.
No, I know.
When you say you're all in, there's expectation.
I agree. I agree with that. And that's part of one of the frustrating things is, oh, hey, look, we got our people back over. I really appreciate that. Thank y'all.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. Yeah. Sorry about the performance issues.
Yeah, we've been talking about taking performance-enhancing stuff, but we obviously got the wrong. Yeah. That wasn't what they were talking about. By the way, we didn't name the list. We'll table that till next week.
Hey, first of all, Terry, how are you doing?
I could use a hug.
Well, can I just skip that?
Can you Venmo it?
Yeah.
Venmo a hug?
Yeah.
Venmo it? Yeah. Could you Venmo me a hug? I'm doing great. You know what? I said this yesterday to you.
Can I pay a pal to give you?
Hey, we did that and I got on probation. Let's not get into that situation again. But no, seriously, you know what? Outside of the Cowboys, I enjoyed the football games yesterday. And you and I talked about it. And when I say this, let me complete. That's what the flag is. Probably a man downfield. But when I say, a flag in the end zone too. But the Cowboys are making to me where their game is not the game I care about on Sundays.
Yeah,
I want red zone. I want you and I are both the same way. And to be fair, I've been like this for a few years now. But I love the fact they're on Thursday night because that means they're not on Sunday. And so all Sunday, all I have to do is watch red zone and I'm perfectly happy.
Yeah. So, we were saying earlier, Cowboys had a home game yesterday against the Ravens. They lost the afternoon game. They're going to fly out to East Rutherford to play the New York Football Giants, first divisional matchup of the season. It's a Thursday night game on Amazon Prime. Both teams are 1-2. Whoever wins is going to have a lot of events going through the rest of the season. Whoever loses is going to have a lot of.
Okay, if Dallas wins, well, I completely disagree with that whole point. If the Giants win, I guess, yeah, because they'll finally beat Dallas the first time in, I think it's 8 games. But still, it's the Giants. And if Dallas goes out and wins, you know what? It doesn't really matter. No matter how Dallas wins, nobody. Because I was going to say if they win 42-10, but then we're just going to be like, okay,
Yeah,
we've seen that before. And then if they win 14-13 with a last second field goal, we'll be like, golly, man, look how bad it is. The Giants almost beat you. And to be fair, that unfair spot Dallas solely put themselves into. And so that's on Dallas. That's not a blame game and all that. That's on Dallas and how crappy they performed when it matters. And so now, in a year where none of us wants to give them any rope, touchdown Buffalo. Is that Kincaid again?
I think so.
Or no, is it Kincaid 86? Yeah, I always get their number mixed up. But as much rope as they didn't have already, they've already burned up through 90% of that by not playing well. It's not even winning. It's not playing well. Yeah. I mean, if they'd have got out, you can look at the score yesterday and say, well, it's 28-25. But going back to the Saints game, if they'd have lost that game, 28-24, you go, okay, you got some things fixed. Hey, you're right there. And then even yesterday, that was comeback mode. The offense sputtered again until the game was 28-3. And so Dallas has got it to where they're just, no matter what they do until it gets to the playoffs, nobody cares. And then if you don't get to the playoffs, nobody really cares. It's weird to say this because the last time the fans were this apathetic was after 3 straight 5-11s. So it's odd to say that after 3 straight 12-5s, but that's where this fan base is. I don't necessarily think that's 100% fair. That's that's that little expectation crap that Dallas fans have. And I get it, 5 Super Bowls, blah, blah, blah. But when the last one was, a year after my daughter was born, it's just, and by the way, her birthday's tomorrow. Her birthday September.
The big 3-0?
3-0, yeah. And so it's just a little ridiculous that the fan base is like that, but they are. And that's what expectations are. And Dallas has done nothing to help that at all. In fact, they've done everything to, I don't even know if Jerry has the energy to fire Mike McCarthy if he feels like it. What if they get up to a 3-9 start? Would he fire? I don't think he even has the energy to anymore.
He took him about 10 years to fire Jason Garrett.
Yeah, but he's fired in season before.
Wade Phillips.
Wade Phillips he fired in season before. So he can do it.
He has a capability.
He has a capability. But again, I just don't know if the energy is there. Maybe it's true. He's just gotten to the point where at his age, he just doesn't. It's just not there for him.
Yeah, he is 82 now.
Yep.
So yeah, and he seems to be more standoffish. With the media.
See, to me, he seems more bored. Like last night, man, I was watching the press conference, and usually, man, you could see the anger and hate.
Yeah.
He's just like, I think we have the personnel.
I think when you feel defeated, that's just it, man.
But if you're the one causing yourself to, again, it's not even the moves they didn't make. It's that at times it didn't even feel like they were trying to make any moves.
Yeah.
And for him to then come out and foolishly say, hey, Derrick Henry, we couldn't afford him, that doesn't help. Because that's not true.
Yeah.
A, it's not true. But also, B, it's just a stupid thing to say because everybody knows that's not true. Say this. Say, hey, look, you know what? Derrick Henry was a great player, but at his age, we were worried that we would be getting a same situation where if we sign him to a big money contract and then he doesn't perform, it doesn't help us. We thought we were going to be smart and bring in Ezekiel Elliott, who we still think can help us in a committee role for a little less money. That's the best way to say that. Yeah. People might disagree, but they go, okay, that's sound logic. To say we can't afford him when we could, it's just annoying, man. If you're not going to try as Jerry Jones, why should we try as the fan to get up for it when I can just watch some other teams? I got 32 helmets on the wall. I can pick another one real easy.
Well, that's not for us. That's for the fans that are wondering, who they're going to root for. Then some of the people like around my age, maybe a little younger, that are flip flop fans. Like that, like a few years ago, they were Ram fans. Now they're Chiefs fans. I'm pretty sure in about 5 years they're going to be
You
Charger
know what?
fans.
You know what? Tell you what? I'll just go over to Houston. I'll go over a team that wouldn't dare go on the road and get their ass kicked by a tournament quarterback. Son of a bitch. It was even bad for the Texans
Speaking
yesterday.
of,
Speaking of, now this is expectation and this is having rope. Can't get all said about it. And you'd like to see Houston. Houston does tend to, when they get beat. But they're young enough. They've given the fan base enough hope that Houston. Hey, look, you get into a Minnesota team that I know you a little bit, but me specifically has said this is going to be a better team than you think. Sam Darnold's going to be a better quarterback once you realize he has weapons, he has a scheme that makes sense, he has all that. So this loss isn't bad. You just would have liked to have seen the offense have a little bit more fight. They kind of folded, it felt pretty quick in the game.
yeah, they folded pretty quick. I was pretty shocked at how the Texans just didn't respond to the Vikings and what they did on defense with Brian Flores, Sam Darnold doing on the offense, being a level-headed, steady quarterback. Uh, even without Jordan Addison, they're very formidable on the offensive
I keep
side.
forgetting he hasn't even played a snap yet in the NFL.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, in
like,
the NFL season.
as we're working on the fantasy aspect of L4Media offensive coverage, uh, we have our waiver picks,
Mm-hmm.
and Jalen Naylor is he's the other wide receiver for the Vikings. They don't have AJ Osborne, but Jalen Naylor, he is a guy that you should pick up. He is going to be someone that Sam Darnold is going to look at. Darnold got hurt in this game, but no damage,
Yeah, just the knee bruise.
and he's definitely going to play next week. And he was actually running around fine after he got hurt. So, stick with if you play fantasy football, get the Vikings defense, get Sam Darnold, get Taylor. That is a legit team. I said last week that the Saints were legit. I still think they are. I think it takes a special type of defense to stop their offense. Many teams are built like the Eagles front four with the Vikings. They're just all around it.
No, I agree. And now the thing is, we're going to see this. The NFL season. You have these 3 game runs by teams, and just as frustrating as Dallas is at 1-2, there have been a ton of 1-2 teams that end up 12-5, and looking good. So just like we're saying with Dallas, you have to tap the brakes. This could be a early season, getting used to Zimmer and all that kind of fun stuff. Same thing with Minnesota or any any team, but especially a team like Minnesota when they started off hot and it's with a quarterback that's been, in other places struggling, it, they can still eventually convert. I mean, I just don't think they will. I legitimately think that Minnesota is a good team this year, and I think Sam Darnold is a good enough quarterback to win with a good team built around him.
Oh yeah, and that's was the case kind of 2 years ago with the Panthers. They were, I think, 7-9 or 7-10, competing for the AFC South title. They went into Tampa, played Tom Brady. It was his last season with Tampa. The division title was on the line, and uh, Mike Evans had a breakout game. I think he had over 200 yards, a few touchdowns. Actually won a fantasy football championship with Mike Evans that day. He had been so bad for me the whole season. So yeah, I mean, I really think Darnold can do it all if he just gets the talent around him. And he kind of does. Aaron Jones came over from the Packers, solid running back, a guy that can catch the ball, run the ball, good enough pass protector, so he can do all 3 phases. Oh, by the way, I was watching the Sunday Night Football game, Chiefs at Atlanta, and Bijan Robinson, great pass blocker.
Yeah.
No, Zeke, as much as Cowboy fans crap on Zeke for not being the best running back anymore, like lost his step, he's still a great pass blocker. As you have watched, if you watched the Ravens game yesterday. But yeah, go back to Sam Darnold with the quarterback for the Vikings. I really think with Kevin O'Connell at quarterback as a head coach. I really think they're in good shape. I think they will be competitive in every game they play, um, especially with the defensive-minded head coach with all the talent they have on that defensive side. Yeah, they lost Danielle Hunter to the Texans. Danielle Hunter didn't get his revenge game against Minnesota, going back to his old stomping grounds. But you know, uh, they replaced Danielle Hunter in Minnesota with three different pass rushers, and it seems to be paying off so far. I think Mike Flores or not Mike Flores, Brian Flores' defense thrives over variety and multiple guys that can do the same thing. So yeah, I mean, as of right now, I think the Vikings are.
All right, where do you want to go next?
What? Let me see. Did you already tell me what you were drinking? Sir?
Oh, vodka. Sorry, we kind of just displaced of all that since we kind of
Okay.
got jumped right in the middle of the show.
All right. So yeah, let's go to some of the good games of the week. We can go back to the Cowboys, but I want to do the one that was kind of shocked: the Rams and the 49ers. The Rams beat the 49ers in Inglewood 27-24. 49ers were hurt. There's no Christian McCaffrey. There's no star wide receiver Debo Samuel. They basically rode Juwan Jennings at wide receiver. He had a big
Dude, he
game.
had a big first half. He kind of went quiet in the second for most of it, but yeah, I mean, he got what they needed. And dude, this was the funniest game because, I'm watching it on Red Zone, and every time I'm looking up San Francisco's got the ball, or I'm happy Juwan Jennings is the guy that I picked up on a couple
Yeah.
of waiver wires with the injuries and everything. So he's paying off. I'm happy. I think the world's great. And not that I'm a San Francisco fan. And then I look up afterwards, like 2 hours after the games are over, and I'm like, holy crap, the Rams came back and won that game. That is the most Rams way they win games now. Like they just win games out of thin air almost.
Hey, and I already told you the 49ers were hurt, but the Rams were also hurt. They had no Puka Nakua and
Whoa.
Cooper Cup. So they're both their top two wide receivers were out. And I told you last week, and if you play fantasy football, pick up Tutu Atwell. He's their third wide receiver. He's a small guy, and he kind of came on last year while Puka Nakua were guys that were just killing it the season as Cooper Cup got back into the lineup. But I mean, if Cooper Cup's not in there, or Puka Nakua is not in there, put in Tutu Atwell. He had 4 catches for 93 yards. Big play guy. He had a 50-yard big time reception. So yeah, Rams, they get the first win. It was a most random win. The 49ers, even without all their star players, they still dominate. In Bosa, their star defensive end, he was hurt, but he still played and he was semi decent. Um, yeah, that was one of my favorite games to watch. Just for what you said, it is the most Rams way of winning, and and to be honest with you, based off the Super Bowl performances, it's the most 49er way of losing.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Eagles, stop me if you were expecting this one. Eagles beat New Orleans in a defensive, ugly, ugly game that, I mean, the Saints led forever for like 3-0. And man, I don't know what to think about this game for either team. I mean, good defensive performances by both teams, but first off, for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts is becoming an issue, like to the point where I don't know how much longer it's just his team.
Yeah.
Like, how many more games are you giving him before you're going, okay, we've got to make a change because we're trying to win a Super Bowl this year?
You paid them enough money, and they're 2-1, so you're gonna keep riding him until they have a losing record. If he's
I mean, you're Nick, what's his name?
no,
Garabrini Teeny, and you're talking about if you don't make you might have to make the NFC title game to keep your job. I don't think
you call them the Cowboys?
Well, no, I mean, it's been pretty much said that
Not
the Eagles would fire him if they don't.
I 100% agree. Nick Sirianni needs to right the ship, and they need to go on a roll. Last year, they started 10-1. They finished 1-6. Got destroyed in the playoffs. Yeah, and Jalen Hurts didn't look great. They had a lot of coordinator changes. They brought in Kellen Moore to stabilize the offense. They brought in Vic Fangio to stabilize the defense. Defense looked great. I think their type of defense, where they have the elite defensive line with Jalen Carter and company and Jordan Davis, they can stack six in the box and negate Alvin Kamara and neutralize what Clint Kubiak has been building with the New Orleans Saints on offense, which is what they did. But because the Saints have had a pretty good defense the last 7-8 years.
Oh yeah. I
They
mean, you could
added,
even go longer if you want to all the way from Bounty Gate, really.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they added Willie Gay from the Chiefs this offseason. They added Chase Young, who's not the pass rusher he used to be, but he's still a very solid defensive end.
I think you just like to say his name once on the show because here's the thing with him. It's nothing against him because it's injuries, but it's so frustrating when I think he could have been a J.J. Watt, a TJ Watt, a Micah Parsons style where he's 15 sacks a year and it's just you can tell. And by the way, he had a pretty good game yesterday, but you can tell he doesn't have that explosive first step anymore, and I hate to see that. So I hate him. Totally unfair, I know.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Commanders in 2020. He had that
He came out of the door like gangbusters, man.
that COVID season was. I mean, it was weird in general, but I mean, he just had such a great year. Washington and winning the division that season with 7-9 record, believe it or not. Um, yeah, so the potential for him was through the roof, but it just never materialized. He got hurt and he just He went to the 49ers last season. Even with all that talent, he didn't return to the form he was in 2020. So uh, if he can be a solid defensive end, good for him. He'll put him in the league for another 7 years and he'll have a pretty solid career. I don't really see much more out of him, but yeah, it was a good defensive battle. There was some fourth down stops.
Yeah.
This is a good struggle. I mean, Philadelphia got bailed out because they were without their right tackle Lane Johnson. They were without AJ Brown. They were without that got hurt during this game as well as Lane Johnson. And Jalen Hurts continued his trend of having one or two mistakes in every game.
Yeah.
And Saquon, he's healthy. There's always a big question mark with me with Saquon because he will have a few great games and then get hurt. And I just can't, as far as a fantasy football is concerned, I can't trust that.
Yeah.
If I was a GM in an NFL team, I just would not pay him. And the Giants are getting crapped on right now, but who's to say Saquon? He's a year older now. Who's to say he's not going to get hurt? So right now he looks great. He had 2 TDs. He had a 65-yard TD to break it open in this game. Philadelphia, they're 2-1 with all these injury issues. Good for them. New Orleans, I think they're fine. They're not going to face many teams that have the formidable defensive front as the Eagles do.
I mean,
it's
it's pretty formidable. So far this year, it hasn't been, oh my God, this was the first time in the 3 games that you felt like not that the Falcons had their way with them, but when the Falcons needed to, they had their way with them. So I think if you're saying, I totally disagree. I think if you're the Saints, you're not worried. You're 2-1, but you go, okay, wait. So is this going to be what it is with Derek Carr, where you're going to have 3-game spurts where he's going to look great, but then through the stretch of the season, is he going to struggle? Because he struggled too. Like
it depends on who they're playing,
and he struggled with missed targets. Like it wasn't like, hey, the pass rush or hey, the Philadelphia secondary was just dominating. He was missing guys a little high, a little low. Nothing like, oh my God. So I kind of disagree. I'm not as sold on the Eagles as much as you. I think the potential for that defense, but for the first start of the season, they've been better than Dallas. But hell, that's easy to say. It's not. I just don't think they've been as dominant as you think they have been to start the year.
They might be a team that has to rely on that defense more than like basically the early 90s, late 80s Eagles, where they had to really rely on the defense and not much as on the offense, even though they had Cunningham. This is still a good team. Again, it's so early in the season. We don't know what these teams are going to be like come week 8, week 9, let alone week 15. So let's just see week by week. They're 2-1. If Washington loses later tonight to the Cincinnati. They'll be leading the division.
Oh, that's a good thing
I mean,
anymore.
remember last week the big joke was that the Commanders were leading the NFC East.
By a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
By the way, the Detroit Lions have gotten some bad news. Marcus Davenport is out for the year.
Ouch.
The defensive end from University of Texas, San Antonio. He hasn't really ever quite played up to the draft pick that he was made by the Saints, but he's always been solid. He just can't stay healthy. And this is another year of that as he tore his triceps and he'll be out. Also, the Lions linebacker Derek Barnes is going to be out for as Coach Dan Campbell said, a significant amount of time. So the Lions are getting that. What usually happens after a Cinderella year, you got to start battling the injuries and things like that. Speaking of injuries, LA Chargers Joe Alt will miss significant time as he sprains his MCL. Officially, he's out at least one game, but usually those are going to be 4 or 5 weeks.
It's 13-3 Bills right now.
Yeah, sorry.
The Jaguars just got a field goal.
We had to take off our watching party because it was possibly hurting the stream. It's just one of those weird nights with the internet around here. But yeah, so and the thing that sucks about it is he got hurt on the last offensive drive when the game was basically out of hand. You're just playing out the string, and then Cameron Hayward lands awkwardly on the back of his leg. I saw it when it happened, and I actually first thought, oh no, that's out. But I mean, you could say it's a little bit of a break that it's only going to be an MCL.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
All right, let's move over. Can you go to the next one? I don't even have the run sheet up right now because I'm still trying to do a technical issue.
So we're talking about Joe Alt and the Chargers. The other big one of the undefeated teams in the NFL is.
Boy, they just know how to win ugly, man. You got to give them credit for that.
Ever since Tomlin got there, I mean, even before then, but like that was his staple. Win ugly. He's fine, perfectly fine with that. And the Steelers with Justin Fields, who Bears fans were like, man, he would look so good with offense. They're 3-0. They beat a very good LA Chargers team, 20-10. The Steelers are finding different ways to win. Calvin Austin had almost 100 yards receiving, still running the ball effectively under the new offensive coordinator.
Smith, at least that's the one thing he does is run the ball. Sometimes too much and at the weirdest times. But, again, you and I talked about this last week. We've never, he's perfectly fine as an offensive coordinator.
He is perfectly fine as an offensive coordinator. But what I liked about this game was that Justin Fields had over 200 yards passing. He almost had a 250 yards passing, which means that they're actually trying to throw the ball more. Steelers only got 114 yards rushing, which for them is a little bit low, but the fact that they're able to mix up with the passing attack and not only just throw it to George Pickens and maybe a couple of dinks to Pat Freiermuth, I'm glad they're actually adding Calvin Austin to that. And the defense was stout. This was their first home game of the season. The fans were ready. It was a big game. The Chargers were also 2-0 going into this game. So
I think this more just showed that the Chargers are getting there, but they're a work in progress.
Hey, which is perfectly fine. We all knew this going into the season. For me, I just know that Harbaugh, former Michigan coach, former 49er coach, current Charger coach, he loves to run the ball.
But why?
Why what?
Why should the Chargers be considered a team that's getting a year break?
Because of the head coach's success. He has
no. I'm saying why aren't there more expectations this year? You've got your franchise quarterback in place.
They have no wide receiver one. They have no
Quentin Johnson's actually been shown that he's pretty good now.
They have no proven RB1.
And we literally talk about all the time how we're in this league now where you don't need an RB1.
For Harbaugh's offense to work, you need an RB1.
Or you just need RBs. You don't have to have a one.
He's always had an RB1 everywhere he's went.
I just feel like he's getting not really a pass, but I've heard more people like, well, this year, but wait till next year. I mean, to me, the whole reason they keep firing coaches in LA is because the one thing they seem to do right is build good rosters, at least on paper. And to me, this roster should be, they should be 2-1. In fact, I think it's a disappointment that they went into Pittsburgh, and not that they lost, but that their running game only had like six, and that Justin Herbert was 12 of 18, but only for 125 yards. It goes back to what you and I say. This quarterback is not. This is not a Jim Harbaugh quarterback. Can he become one? Maybe, but this is you're just not using Herbert to his strength, in my opinion.
I will agree. He has not shined in the other two games. He's injured. He got injured again in this game.
Another high ankle, the same high ankle sprain, not a different one.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah, they might roll with their backup Taylor Heineke.
You mean the future starter?
The future. He seems more like a Harbaugh quarterback,
doesn't he? I mean, we were joking yesterday, but I still contend, and everybody thinks I'm crazy. I still contend I see a greater than not chance that they end up trading Justin Herbert because that's just not what Harbaugh wants.
Yeah, which is crazy to me because he has such a great arm.
Yeah, but I don't get. Well, I mean, I guess I can say I get it because of who has coached him.
Yeah.
But to me, we always joke about Dak takes a lot of times some unfair criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Herbert, for whatever reason, gets a pass every time. When people talk about greatest top 10 quarterbacks, Justin Herbert will be listed in the 10 every time. For what?
Skills.
So potential.
Potential, yeah.
Okay, so what are we, year 6 now of him?
Yeah, this is at least year 5.
I mean, because he signed the extension last year.
Oh.
So, I mean, isn't it time for, everybody's having all these stories and understand they're having these stories because it's Monday Night Jaguar. Why hasn't Trevor Lawrence panned out? Well, I mean, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert, to me, have kind of had the same start to their career. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence at least had a playoff win over Justin Herbert.
Yeah, he does. And it was after a 27-0 deficit when the Jaguars came back 2 years ago. So, yeah. Man, I don't know, man.
You need to know the answers. You're the co-host of a football show, sir.
You are correct. Justin Herbert has the height. He has the arm strength.
Everything he does is beautiful when it comes to throwing a football, man. It's gorgeous.
He is, if he buys into Harbaugh's method, his system, this is a fantastic quarterback to have. But I just don't think Herbert's going to be okay with just throwing it 25, 30 times where he's normally throwing it 40 times. I mean, when Justin Fields is throwing it more than you by 14 attempts, it just depends on the temperament. I don't know Justin Herbert's temperament. He might want to throw it 35, 40 times, whether they win or lose.
I think any quarterback would be happy if they're not throwing it a ton, if they're throwing it down the field. Now, see, that's the Justin Herbert style I think would work beautifully with Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
Run the ball over the top, but like I'm like you, I just don't know if Herbert's almost like a pitcher or a running back. Sometimes he's going to start 3-7, but then he's going to hit 12 for 12 in a row. You've got to let him cook, so to speak.
Dude, you brought up a good point just now because that's another reason why I feel Herbert works well for this team.
Oh, I think the idea he does.
Someone with his arm strength is going to open up those running lanes, which is what Harbaugh really wants to do. The 2016 Cowboys, with that bad defense, they were winning games because they controlled the line of scrimmage on the offensive side. They could hold the ball for 35, 40 minutes. You have a quarterback with the threat of that arm strength and a guy like Quentin Johnson, who's actually scoring touchdowns now, and I'm actually starting to feel more confident in his ability in year 2 at wide receiver. He was the starting star wide receiver for TCU a couple years ago when they played in the national championship game against Georgia. Lad McConkey, he's a good possession receiver.
Is he heady?
Yeah, very heady gym rat. First in, last out. Wide receiver. Now, it's. I really like the makeup of the Chargers. I don't like the fact that Alt is hurt. He was the guy that was kind of like banking on to lead this offensive line to success in 2024.
You know what else Jim Harbaugh will like?
What?
Players like Bosa always being hurt.
Yeah,
he's very much. He has said this when he was in San Francisco, and I can't remember who they were talking about, but it was one of their Niners that was always kind of banged up, and he said, "Look, the guy's talented, but for me, the number one talent is availability."
Yeah.
He goes, I will take a guy that's 60% talent of guy, but he's able to play.
Yep.
And Bosa, man, he's just always being banged up.
Yep.
One thing I will say about this, and we'll circle back around to Dallas here in a minute, but the one thing I'll say about Micah Parsons is he doesn't miss time.
He does
Like
not.
that dude plays. He'll get banged up. You'll see it in week 15 and 16 where 3 plays in, he's already kind of got a limp and he's struggling, but he plays. Nick Bosa and even Joey, both of them. And I'm not saying that, please understand, this is not like some knock on their manhood or anything. I'm just saying they're not available enough. And that's the kind of thing Jim Harbaugh, that's why Jim Harbaugh tends to win with the same type of teams. They're all gritty gutty because gritty gut don't miss a lot of games.
That's a great quote.
So if Dallas really wants to get rid of Joe Alt because he's hurt too, I mean, Chargers, Dallas will take him for a 7th.
So
we'll help you out.
Yeah, we'll do you a favor.
Go win Justin Herbert, and we'll give you a 4th.
Yeah. So
right now, would you take Justin Herbert over Dak Prescott?
what's the offense we're running?
Same thing. No, just right now.
The current Cowboys.
Yeah, as the team.
That's a whole nother can of. First, let me say this.
Right.
Bills are up 20-3.
Yeah, the Jags are looking crap. I'm sorry.
Terry's favorite wide receiver from this draft, Keon Coleman, just scored a touchdown.
Oh, that was Coleman? I thought that was Shakir. No, I like him. I hope Coleman does well.
Shakir.
I like Coleman. I thought he was really good at Florida State. I'm glad that he's doing it. I still think that they made a mistake. And now, to be fair, they made a mistake skipping over Xavier Worthy. To be fair, ever since the 2 touchdown first game, Worthy's done nothing.
Yeah.
But that's also just the Chiefs. That's what Chiefs will do.
Before I go back to your question, I'm going to go say this: that in 2014, when Kelvin Benjamin came into the draft, I was big on him, T-Bone, because of what he did in the championship game in just 2013.
His rookie year was awesome. He had 1,000 yards, and then he went.
I mean, him and Jameis Winston looked so good at Florida State last year. You know, that was the last year before the playoffs. 2013, I can't remember. But
great national championship team. Kind of get lost because of the dynasties of Alabama and all that. But that Florida State team was one of the best. And seriously, he had a 1,000-yard year his first year as a rookie.
Yeah.
Remember, we thought, holy crap, him and Cam. Oh man, Carolina's set for the next 10 years. Oh wow, both of them aren't in the league. Yeah. One of them because his shoulder blew out, and the other one because Kelvin James' shoulder blew out because he couldn't stop eating. Like that dude got so big. Like we all made a joke, Keenan Allen. That was the kind of the funny thing on it. But Keenan Allen still looked like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Kelvin Benjamin looked like a freaking offensive lineman.
He literally ballooned to 305.
Didn't he try to become a tight end his last year? Yeah, he sure did, didn't he? Yeah. He's like, I'm just.
He's really tall. He's like 6'6", but yeah, he just ballooned to 305 by the end of his playing career, and he just couldn't control that. So
he was fun to watch when he was good, though.
Yeah, he was fun to watch when he was good. It was such an imposing figure. So.
Hey, real quick, guys, we're gonna take a quick break here, if I can get. Here we go. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back on this Monday night special. Out Drink the Coverage Happy Hour. That means it's bug season. Heck, who am I kidding? It's always bug season in Texas. And that's why you need Grandeur Pest Solutions in your corner. They're locally owned and operated. They're trained, they're trustworthy, and they have a proven record as they have been in business for almost 10 years. They provide pest control against ants, bed bugs, bees, roaches, fleas, wasps, mosquitoes, rodents, spiders. If it crawls and you don't like it, they're probably going to take care of it for you. Now, they serve all of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they're locally owned. These two guys have been running this business since 2013, and every year they get bigger and bigger. But you know what they still do? They still have great customer service. In fact, if you get a hold of them, they're usually going to have your quote and your job ready to go within 48 hours. That's pretty good. Now, you can call them for a free estimate at 469-809-1769. You can find them online at Grandeur4, that's the number 4, shore.com. You can also find them on Facebook. Just type in Grandeur Pet Solutions, and we are so happy that they're title sponsor for Outdrink the Coverage in 2023. Get rid of Jenny. We're back here. Outdrink the Coverage. What's the score of the Washington game? I haven't been able to pull that up because of all the technical issues.
Let me take a look, sir. Put me on the spot here.
I think, honestly, I'm going to switch over to that game.
Yeah. Wow. It is 7-7. Washington. Thanks for
Wow.
telling me.
Hey,
So I will give you a recap because I'm a nice guy.
thank you, brother.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Jamar Chase opened the scoring on the opening drive with a 41-yard catch from Joe Burrow.
How weird was that whole, I guess, still ongoing contract negotiations where the team approaches the player and says, "Hey, we want to tear your deal up. We want to give you more money." Then somehow doesn't offer enough to the point that he wants to sit out.
Yeah,
Like that made no sense. Like I get it if it's not enough money, but you should at least be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to honor what I'm doing because they can't trying to make me. I don't know. It's just that was for all the talk about like CeeDee Lamb, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit when we circle back on the Cowboys. But I just thought that was a weird thing for him to want to sit out now when they were trying to extend him. I mean, unless they went back to the old Cincinnati where they're like, yeah, we'll give you the league veteran minimum. We'll extend you for 400,000. I don't know. It's just that was weird to me.
I don't think I don't think Mike Brown is still owner of the team anymore. So, but yeah, that was very common with him. I really thought. Actually, I forgot. I didn't never told you this off air, but I really thought Jamar Chase and T Higgins were like plotting to kind of like what actors do, like on Friends or on those popular shows where one actor gets $1 million and the others get $250,000. Sometimes they'll just band together and say, "Hey, look, we all deserve $1 million. We all make this show great," and then they cave in because of the ratings and the money they generate from this. I thought him and T Higgins were going to pull that prank on the Bengals and say, "Hey, look, we both deserve top salary."
Unless they're under the same agent, their agents would never agree to that. Sadly, because I would love that.
Because both of them have Bengals management on their salary.
Yeah. Ooh, this is not. I'm more and more with Cincinnati. I like their look, but they're very hard to match up for good uniform games.
Because like the Super Bowl, Bengals and Rams 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm more and more not on the more. I don't like this look. It always felt a little off, but I was like, oh, you know what? The helmet. I like the blue, and I think they need to quietly just go back to their old look. I think that would look really good in LA.
The gold or blue and white?
No, the old. No, not the 70, the LA Rams.
Oh yeah,
the 70s, the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back to that. Get a sharper blue with that. I'm off on that. Oh wow, the Bills are Jaguars. He's already thrown an interception. This is getting ugly. Bills are going to do what the Bills do, aren't they? They're going to be like 7-0 and then lose 4 of their next 5 or something like that.
And we're going to be like, how?
And then there'll be special reports on Sean McDermott like last year. One of the best reads I've had all year. But going back to this game, I hate to say it, man. The helmet is still great. The white helmet is still great.
Yeah.
And for the Bengals, we're doing it right a couple years ago when everything was plain on the jersey. Go back to that. They're getting back into too many stripes, too color. Like this one, it's black, it's orange, and then white pants, but it's also got orange. But the white orange have very little black on them. Yeah. So none of it ties together. Washington, just go with the white pants on the road. Don't do the red pants. I don't like the red pants. Or burgundy, I guess is what they'd call them.
Yeah, burgundy. Yeah.
I more and more, I don't like dark pan or white top.
What are you watching the game?
ESPN Plus.
See, I'm always having issues with that. Let me see if I can figure it out.
You're using my login.
I know. And wait, let me see here. Where does this work? Watch live on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, click
Watch. Because I had no problems week 1, but then like last week when we did the show and I was at home, I couldn't watch it.
It could be also, I mean, again, it didn't. Week 1 when we did this, we watched the game on the same TV or the same computer that we streamed on. We had no issues. Tonight, but I had it on here like this, and there was no issues. Yeah. Tonight, the streaming on that apparently is why it kind of started crappy for the whole stream.
I wonder if they're just cracking down right now.
Well, I mean, though, because you're in my house, so it would read that you're using my internet, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. I
just think it's sometimes, and also we got to remember, Studio was home and she's streaming. I cut the cord 10 years ago. I can't believe it. It's been 10 years.
Happy maybe 10 years. Sir.
I've done at times. I had done the YouTube TV or Fubo for football season, but once the NFL started off, which by the way, smartest thing the NFL did was Red Zone. I still can't believe it's only $14 a month. Yeah. Really, really thought that was going to be
well, then $100 a year if you just do it.
If you just do it, yeah,
which is even cheaper.
Yes, and I really thought that was just going to be an introductory. Because I'll be honest with you, I would pay $30 a month for that.
Make sure you go to school, kids. Math. Yeah, I mean, for what you're getting, for sure, you get to watch all the games for 7 hours.
7 hours.
Commercial free.
You get to do things like tonight. I logged in on NFL.com.
Yeah.
You get every national game as long as you have the provider that they provide. And on your, you just get every game.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a provider. You get every game they do on your phone and technically on your laptop too. I think it's only on streaming. This is where you have to have a TV provider. Yeah. You can go. You can check out all the replays of the games. You can go back and watch the all-22s.
Yeah.
You can also go back and check out all the NFL stuff, all the America's games, all that you get archived on their website.
Yeah. I like the Bengals look. I don't like the Commanders look.
I don't like the Bengals look.
I actually like the Bengals look.
If you're going to have white pants and orange stripes, but you're wearing a black top, you got to have some black on the pants as well. Or black socks.
How about black stripes maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, black socks.
Black socks would look good.
Black socks might have been what you're needing.
I'm just telling you, it just at times their jersey looks very 90s with too much going on. And again, the only thing I don't like about Washington is pants. If you wear white pants, that's a great look.
It is a great look. But with the Bengals wearing white pants, I understand why they did that.
Why?
Just to be different.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Wait, I would love to see. Okay, can we see it in the camera? Hang on. I would love to see that color with a W.
Yeah. That's one of the best best helmets.
Yeah.
So let's play this out. Okay, so they wear that design, but with the W. Do they wear anything red, or they just wear all white? I'm thinking they wear red. You know what? That yellow helmet with the W and red top or burgundy top,
like the 70s, yeah.
Or yellow pants or white pants.
Or even yellow pants and a white top would look pretty good with that. I don't mind non-primary strong colors. I don't like primary colors as your pants.
I don't mind if the helmet and pants match. Typically,
that makes it a little better.
Like what you're just saying,
makes
with the
it a little bit better. Yeah,
yellow helmet, yellow pants, and then white top or red top.
Yeah, I like the red top. I like
because I like the yellow
top.
Because I like the yellow and the burgundy together.
What about a yellow top?
Yellow and yellow. I don't know.
No, I mean even with a red helmet.
Yellow top, yes.
That would look a little. Steelers
the contract like with the Falcons. I tell you, I like that red helmet
with the black jersey,
or opposite, black helmet, red top.
Yeah. Also, it's weird because Steelers break a lot of the road rules, and for some reason I like the black helmet, white top, and yellow pants. It just works.
It works,
and it's because you don't see a ton of yellow pants. Green Bay, is that it? Green Bay. Well, the Rams never wear yellow anymore.
They don't.
Chargers will occasionally, but that's more of a gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's really it. I don't like that go all black. And the reason I don't like the all black is I don't usually like all of one color past high school.
Yeah.
But I also don't like the way this, because with no stripes, with nothing else, it literally looks like they're wearing.
Unless it's white.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about dark color. That's what I'm saying. It looks like they're wearing pajama pants.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't look good. And also they have such a great look when they wear the gold pants.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of how I grew up watching the Saints.
And I don't like how small the logo. Have you noticed how small they're
for the league?
Yeah, like it's. I wish I had the older helmet. I have it, but I can't. Well, just for your reference, you can see it up there on the second shelf for the any given set.
Yeah.
See how big that is? Like it took up the whole helmet. I don't like logos that don't take up the whole helmet. And I know part of it is because of the way the helmet now, you have to kind of like we see helmets now because of the design, like a team that has like Carthage, which has the Chicago C.
Yeah.
It is actually in weird places on their helmet because of the way their helmet structure is.
I like how you organize this so I can tell, okay, this side's the AFC, this side's the NFC, Chicago. So I'm going to look on that side.
Yeah.
And you have organized by division. Okay, that's the NFC West, that's the NFC South. That's the North.
The only
Chicago.
only thing I did it so that whenever I'd show,
Yeah.
because I center up, you can see all the NFC East. I would prefer to do it like you always see, where it's NFC East, and then like that, and then the West is at the far right. I flipped it to where the West is closed. But yeah, I've got to have some kind of order. But anyway, all right, where do you want to go next?
Oh, we're
Yeah,
still
doing a
talking
show.
about football. I see. I see. We're sticking to that football thing. I am very impressed with former BC coach, Boston College, current defensive coordinator for the Packers, Jeff Hafley, and what he's instilled with the Packers defense. This Willis, revenge for quarterback for the Titans, got traded to the Packers. Jordan Love gets hurt. They answer back up Malik Willis. He wins last week against the Colts. They start him again because Willis won't be ready for another couple of weeks. Has a game back in his home stomping grounds in Tennessee. They win 30-14.
I mean, they won with him being aggressive. It wasn't like,
He wasn't just a game manager.
Yeah, game one last week, he was a game manager. He stood that.
Yeah.
But this week, I mean, they used his ability to move. You forget he has a pretty damn good arm on the move. He just looks complete. And it goes back to, I know everybody else loved him, but I think the Titans were so terribly run for so many years. They lived off the back of a fluke AFC title game.
Yeah.
And everybody, oh, yeah, you trusting him. I'm not saying that he can become a top 5 starter, but I think he's showing he can be a solid player in this league.
Bills are up 27-3.
Yeah, Jags might be hiring another coach.
Yeah, and this got a Super Bowl for the Eagles in 2017.
Is that
Doug Peterson?
Is that 2017 team though
a fluke?
Well, it's become more that it looks like it's going to be one of the fluke, maybe one of the flukiest. I mean, it was fluky the moment they won with the backup quarterback, and people will say with Jeff Hostetler, yeah, but that was different because they didn't have Hostetler.
Oh, the 90 Giants.
Yeah, they won because he stepped out of the way and he made a couple key throws. Philadelphia relied on Nick Foles.
Evan McPherson, before I reply to you, Evan McPherson's trying a field goal to make it 10-7 Washington, or 10-7 Cincinnati, and he misses it.
Oh, I must be a little ahead of you because I'm on a commercial. Okay. I got there.
So a 48-yard field goal attempt by Evan McPherson, the Bengals kicker. He misses it. So still 7-7 early in the second quarter in Cincinnati.
So let's go ahead real quick. Let's retract because we terrible on the segue. We were talking uniforms. Let's talk about the best uniform game of yesterday. And the way Grant and I do that is it's not just about how the teams look. It's about how they look together on that day in that stadium with the lighting. All that plays into a part. And I'm going to go ahead and say it now. The Giants added that simple all white road look, and their old look wasn't even bad, but taking that has completely revitalized that look. They look great twice now on the road. Once against Washington when Washington was wearing their traditional burgundy look, and then yesterday against the Browns for as other Browns have played. The Browns sure do. They have finally figured out how to make that brown look iconic and good at the same time. Again, one of the best uniform games of the early season.
It has been, and I love when the Browns wear that traditional look. I love when the Giants wear their look. 2 years ago when Brian Dable was the toast of the town in East Rutherford, and the Giants went 9-7-1 and made it to the playoffs. He was you and I were praising that they went back to the old 70s and 80s retro look,
and they still are doing it a couple times this year.
That's a beautiful look, but like what they wore during the day with the darker jersey for the Browns, all white for the Giants, and the metallic helmet.
The only blue on this was on their helmet, and that was wonderful.
Yeah, red socks or tights. I mean, it was great. It looked great. It was beautiful to watch. The best looks. I voted it as the best look.
I agree.
I think Chargers and Steelers, if they played it at night, would have topped that.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Chargers all white would have popped out. And but yeah, it was beautiful to watch. I mean, the Chargers really, ever since they moved to Inglewood. They
They had figured it out before, though. Like, the Chargers is one of those teams that really benefited when the NFL let them stretch out the looks and say, okay,
yeah,
you don't have to. The Chargers, even in the mid '90s, when I felt they got too blue,
yeah.
they got too royal blue, which was or not navy blue, which is very boring because everybody else was doing it. They still look good. Now I will disagree. I disagree with two of your picks. One on the good, one on the bad. Now the first on the bad is the worst of the worst. Dolphins and Seahawks. They should force them to have to wear their throwbacks if they play each other.
That would have been
instant number one.
Yeah,
instant number one.
Yeah.
I thought the Lions and Cardinals looked pretty cool.
So the Lions, I just don't like the Cardinals all black.
As long as they just wear it once or twice, I'm perfectly fine with it. I would like for them, and I know it goes against our Cardinal, I would love for them to put a white Cardinal with a red beak on that black helmet, though. I think that would look really, really good.
I'm visualizing. Yeah.
I don't mind the all black if it's a 1 or 2 time thing. Now, if they wear it 5 or 6 times, then I don't like it. And then I don't like the Rams anymore. I'm 100% out on the Rams.
I like the contrast them and the 49ers.
It does look good, but the 49ers, that red and gold make a lot of teams look good. Again, that's why we tell you, folks, it's not just how you look, it's how you look in campaign. That's why Dallas and the Niners, that's one of the best looks. And it's almost got to be, which I don't know if we've ever seen the blue jerseys against the Niners, but it's always got to be the white jerseys versus and the red jersey of the Niners. It just looks good together. Panthers, Raiders, very underrated look. Again, I still think I wish the Panthers would take out some of the sleeving and the piping. They're a little bit too 90s for me, but the color still works. When they wear that baby blue top, I think it works. Hey, if I was the Tennessee Titans, by the way, side note, just go with top. They wore it 2 weeks ago, and it looked great. Like, it was one of the best. It looks good with that dark helmet.
Yep.
Just go with the plain baby blue, dark numbers. Anyway, and then Falcons, Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, goddamn, those two teams. The Falcons are kind of like the Chargers. They've always got it right. Even when they've gotten a little outdated, it still looks good. The Falcon logo still looks good. I think I had the, you can't see it because
that's the helmet I was telling you. Yeah,
that's why I had to bring it up there. I switch in my favorites every once in a while when nobody's looking. But yeah, you know what? For the most part, we have had 3 great weekend of uniform games. I still contend last weekend was one of the greatest game weekends of all time. Like, it just, especially since we've been doing this show and doing the uniform since 2020. I think the Seahawks and Denver game was the only one that was like, and that's just the Seahawks. Dude, Seahawks, just change.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you don't go all the way back to the olds, go back enough, because the look you have now is just, I just don't. It's just, I never liked it. I don't like monochromatic or chromatic colors.
It never. So, like with the Broncos, it fit in the late 90s and early 2000s. It doesn't really fit now. The Seahawks look, it never has fit to me and to him. Everybody has an opinion. It's just our opinion. So take it.
And I get when they made that change, that mono look was in and the day glow. It wasn't ugly back then. It just wasn't favorite. Now it's just stale.
Yeah.
All right.
I am looking and I see. Well, okay. Jet Thursday Night Football.
Oh yeah, let's go that game.
Pretty boring. I know you passed out several times.
Not because of the boredom.
Cowboys game. I'm gonna go ahead and give Terry his flowers. He predicted Cowboys would win 28-27.
Yeah.
They lost 28-25. Okay, kudos to Terry. He's getting pretty good at these scoring.
I've been kind of on. I can't make the pick'em contest well. At my fantasy sucks, but just give me the random game and I'm in the score almost 100%.
And then going back to this Thursday game, he predicted 28-7 Jets, and they ended up winning 24-3. So basically, both teams decided we're not going to let Terry get this bet perfectly. So instead of scoring this touchdown, we're going to get field goals. That was the only difference. And
I'll give credit to Aaron. Aaron Rodgers looked good.
Yeah.
That's the Aaron Rodgers that the Jets need. They don't need 400 yards, Aaron Rodgers. They need 2014 Tony Romo Aaron Rodgers. Just go out there, throw for 260, make a couple key throws, don't make a ton of mistakes. And that's one thing. Jokes all you can about Aaron Rodgers, but the thing that I will always remember about him, unless it's the NFC title game, is he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Like, he just doesn't go out and have 4 interception games. And man, when it wasn't like New England. New England's still bad.
Yeah.
They didn't. I mean, their defense wasn't like the Cowboys' defense. They weren't just getting beat on all points. Aaron Rodgers was just finding his targets and finding Garrett Wilson, and that's that. If the Jets play us in an AFC East, I mean, you can see why the fans are excited there, and I'm excited for them too. I've always tended to like the lesser teams in a town, and the Jets, and and it's funny to say that because through the '70s it was the exact opposite. But since I've been around, the Giants have at least been more consistently to the Super Bowl. Well, because the Jets haven't been,
Yeah.
and so I would like the Jets to do good, especially in their green uniforms. So good win for them.
Buffalo's up 27-3. They're driving right before the halftime. Bills are in control. They're going to go 3-0. I'm calling it now.
Calling it now, huh?
Yeah, just go ahead and fly back home, Jacksonville. It's all over. Yeah, they have some issues. That is a good and talented team in Jacksonville and Duval County. But what do you do? Like they're just not. To me, they're like the Cowboys. They have issues just generating anything on offense, relying too much on the defense, and the defense is not showing up. So what do? You have skill positions on the defensive side. You have talent there. You have talent on the offense. But
I think this is all coaching.
I was thinking the same thing.
And it's not that Frank Reich's a bad coach. I mean, Doug Peterson's a bad coach. I think I just don't know if what that staff does fits this team because the reason that offense is struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, you have got their one weakness might be like, oh my God, good. They keep at the end running. The problem is just sometimes you just wonder if it's the flaw of the system of the team. Be having a great game and then fumble at the goal line.
Yep.
Lawrence will be having a great first half and then throw an interception. And then it just seems like he is one of those quarterbacks that until he makes his first major mistake, he's awesome. But it seems like every game when he makes that mistake, that's it for him.
And why the Jaguars pay him all that money? This goes back to the conversation we had last week about high-paid quarterbacks.
So this is the conversation we're going to have every week so what's your other choice?
Tyler Heineke.
Okay, and look again. Big run for Washington to the 10 to the 5 touchdown. Reds. Red team in that jersey over there.
I am behind. I am 12 minutes into that Washington game. McLaurin just got a catch. Is McLaurin?
Oh, you're way behind.
Yeah, Daniels threw it. Oh, I guess McCaffrey made it. It was a white wide receiver.
They traded for Christian already? Wow, that's quick.
One of our Luke. Oh, actually, no, it was 17. It was Terry McLaurin. Sorry.
Luke McCaffrey played at Rice. It was Austin Eckler.
And he
it was Austin Eckler. No, I'm saying on the touchdown. Yeah,
okay.
He went long. First.
Okay, so right now it's 1st and 10.
It's coming.
Washington. Yeah.
It's coming. He's about to break to the left side.
Nice. Good job, Eckler.
Yeah, first rushing touchdown.
He was such a great two-way player for the Chargers last few years, and then he was ceremoniously not brought back.
Chargers don't do that. I mean, that's one thing they showed. They showed that with Melvin Gordon, and then there was another dude too. Who's the other one in between or before Melvin?
Oh, before Melvin. Well, I mean, there was LT.
Okay, you're going a little further. I meant directly
further.
But yeah, Chargers don't do that. They don't pay their backs. And especially with Austin Eckler, I love Austin Eckler, but he's always hurt. Again, he's one of those, as great as he is, if you're only getting 12 games out of him, where's that availability positive come from? But when he's on the field, he's one of the best two-way players.
I predict toward the second half of the season, there's a comfort. Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler are going to be a formidable duo.
Oh, I agree, dude. Because Robinson can grind.
Yeah,
and that's honestly, if Melvin Gordon wouldn't have been so big on the money, they had a great 1-2 punch with him and Austin Eckler for that 2 years.
Yep.
And the same thing, Melvin Gordon took the
touchdowns.
Jesus,
33-3 Bills. Ty Johnson pass from Josh Allen. Josh Allen has 4 touchdowns in this game.
I wonder
to 4 different receivers.
Who wrote the book on love? Now this is the perfect world that they're getting with. Wow, dude, that's this. The Texas Rangers finish up with Oakland.
Brent Rooker has over, I think, 110 RBIs this season, having a great year for the Athletics.
Nobody will ever remember,
Nope,
sadly.
yeah, because they're going to go to Sacramento next year for the next 3 seasons, and they'll be in Vegas in 2028.
Who was I looking at?
And the Athletics are actually had a pretty solid year for them. They improved a lot this season.
They were not the Chicago White Sox.
Oh, 120 losses. I think they tied.
Did you hear where they're not announcing, but the rumor is they're cutting payroll?
Why?
I mean, maybe they're going to do the Astros and tank for 3 years, get 3 number ones, draft well. But that's the big thing. That's the thing. You can knock what they did, Washington did, or Houston did, all you want, but you have to accept that they made the right picks as well.
They've been good for the last 10 seasons. They sacrificed 3 or 4. That's perfectly fine. I told you I've been a sports fan since 93.
Yep.
Think about the 93 MLB season. That was the last season before the wild card was implemented.
Yep.
Blackjack McDowell, Frank Thomas.
Chicago White Sox.
That were teams.
Yep, I like them too, but only because that was my 92 or not. Yeah, 91 into 92 was my last summer ball, and we were the White Sox, and we got the white fitted hats. That was but no, I always liked the white. Jack McDowell was fun. Frank Thomas, but just this was a team, man. 2 years ago was the Dark Horse World Series favorite.
Yep.
Like everybody thought that, I guess maybe 3 years ago when he was 21.
I think it was around the pandemic time.
Yeah, I think it was 2020, 2021. But they were the team that was like, well, if the Yankees don't, that watch out for this. And that's the year that everybody was like, Tony La Russa's way too old. Like he's done. Like he was falling asleep in the dugouts. He got into these weird things where he was attacking his own team for how they were celebrating.
And then you were calling him Sleepy Tony.
Sleepy Tony. But he was bitching at his own team about the way they were celebrating games and stuff. And just, it's just, that's why, man, even if Texas never gets back there, when you get those, that's what we were going to talk about earlier, Eagles. Oh, wow. Is it sad that I thought about the Rangers when I said that?
Peterson in 2017.
Let's go back. Let's go back to the 2017 Eagles.
All right.
The one thing that the NFL really hasn't had is fluke champions.
2011 Giants.
I mean, you still had a lot of those from 2007. That when you do it twice,
that's fine.
So same thing with the Raiders. You can make the same for the Raiders, 80 and 82, but they were a lot of the same guys. So it goes, okay, that kind of.
I agree with you.
Bears, I'm trying
to think of 85. Oh, just because
it was just 1 year.
Defense, yeah.
It was just 1 year, but they were good. They were still competitive in NFC title games and all that.
They got lucky because the Patriots beat the Dolphins in the AFC title game that season. And the Dolphins kind of dismantled them on Monday Night Football.
I guess the Jets, 69 Jets, that was fluky because that team was dying of old age anyway. But I guess Baltimore Colts beating the Cowboys. But again, they had guys that had won champions and all, but that whole game was kind of fluky.
Yeah, the 68 Colts were better than the 70 Colts that actually won the championship.
Yeah, and they beat – that's one of the few times go along with the 07 and 2011 Giants, one of the few times that, to me, the better team did not win. By far better team did not win.
And so in that era, the 73 Dolphins were probably better than the 72 undefeated Dolphins.
Yeah, I agree.
Led by Zonka and Jim Kick, like the 3 running back monster of Jim Kick, Larry Zonka, and then recently deceased Mercury Morris,
who could still run for over 100 on Dallas today. Every time the upstart team gets to the Super Bowl, they get beat.
Yeah.
Like almost every time, except for Eagles and I guess Patriots versus Rams. But again, then when you step back and you look at the whole next 20 years, yes, that's still an upset, but it loses its, oh my God, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So legitimately, the Eagles is really the first true team to get to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, and then completely vanish since the 69 or the Colts and the 69 Jets.
Yeah, I can't think of Mookie since 2017. Eagles, as it is. I mean, they were the number one seed. Yeah, they beat a pretty good Vikings team, but the Vikings team that went in there were led by Casey. 1 second Hail Mary pass against the Saints, who probably would have beaten the Eagles had they won that game.
That's a good point. And, that's actually a really good point. You know, again, every time a team like Pittsburgh against Dallas in 95, the upstart gets there, but the better team, even if it's ugly, the better team through the whole season wins the game.
Yeah.
I had another one. I can't think of what it was now.
I'm going through my Rolodex because you already know. I can tell you the Super Bowl winners and losers for every year and every winning head coach. I can't tell you every losing head coach.
That's why we're friends, because we both do that. It's scary.
And I can't think of another fluky year.
I mean, 10 wins in 1 year, but again, they were good in NFC title games before and after.
Yeah.
The Rams win fluky because they came out of nowhere in 99, but then they still made another Super Bowl. The heavy favorites. In fact, we all thought that was the beginning of a dynasty.
But even going into 99, you felt that they were going to make the playoffs because they added Trent Green and Marshall Faulk, and then they drafted Torrey Holt. You think their offense was going to be a little bit more explosive in 99. You didn't think they'd win a Super Bowl. For sure. Whoever won between St. Louis and Tennessee, that was going to be considered fluky.
Colts are almost fluky.
06?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the best team for sure.
I don't think it was at all.
I think their 05 team was really good. I think their 09 team was really good. They were 14-0 to start, and they lost to they really had nothing to play for when they played the Jets after they were 14-0. They probably could have run the table and went 16-0.
I think they tried too hard not to run the table. I think they were so, because of the Patriots, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
Fresh on everybody's mind.
Yep.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you on that one.
Yeah, but it is weird. This is the one sport where you don't, because I mean, you could call,
Ravens.
Oh, that might be closer because
2000.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. You could even say the Joe Flacco Ravens.
Yeah.
I mean, that was even maybe more fluky just because of how they won.
Yeah.
We can talk about the how great Flacco's run was, and it truly is one of the postseason runs of any quarterback. But people think, oh, well, they still had that defense. No, that defense was not that good in 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, they statistically were not that good. Like, they were middle to lower half. They're old.
Ray Lewis was getting old. That was his last season, actually.
Ed Reed was still really good, but Ed Reed at that point, because other people around him, you could play away from him, as they say.
And the 2000 Ravens, I think they started 5-1, and then Tanks couldn't do it as a quarterback, and they lost 3 in a row, and then they bent for Trent Dilfer, and then they went on the run. They never lost another game. They were 5-4, and they never lost another game.
You could call that because they never quite even reached before and after.
Yeah, they moved from Cleveland to Baltimore in 96.
I guess, though, that they were so dominant through the season, it's not a fluke as much as a one-year wonder. And I know there's a little bit of a difference in that. I know not a lot.
But they were just like the 85 Bears, where they struggled a little bit early on defensively, and then they figured it out after week 3 or 4, and then they shut it down.
Well, and that's the thing. Look, no great offense or great defense plays great now 17 games.
Yeah. Great
offenses, you can go back and they'll have games. Hell, look at the Rams and the Buccaneers in the NFC title game, 9-7. The infamous Emmanuel Rice catch or no catch. So great offenses will struggle at times. Great defense will struggle at times.
82 Washington.
Again, though, they go back in 83. They go back in 87. That kind of, I get it. You're not wrong. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about the Giants 07 and 2011.
The only reason why I brought them up was because the MVP that season was a kicker.
But that was more just because that was all simply because you learned after 82 that most votes are simply by stats.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find statistical dominance, so they just,
It would have been the 79 Rams had they finished the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They were up. The 79 Rams were up 24-19 or 20. It was something like that against the Steelers. The dynasty Steelers going into the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. And this was the Rams team that finished 9-7. It had the number 3 seed because they won their division. It was just a weak year for the NFC West.
Pulled off the upset of the Cowboys. Ended Roger Staubach's career.
Roger Staubach.
I still wonder if they go to the NFC title game and lose, or they go to the Super Bowl and win.
Yeah.
I wonder if Staubach keeps playing. I think if they lose the Super Bowl, he's out, and I think the way that he was out. I think if they win a Super Bowl, maybe he's out. But I also think then I'm thinking him. You start thinking, okay, I've got Super Bowls. Terry Bradshaw has 3 Super Bowls. Yeah. I would have now beat him once. He's beat me twice. Let me get one more time. That kind of thing.
I mean, then we would have had Cowboy Raiders Super Bowl the next season in 1980. Yeah, I mean that late 70s, early 80s was a prime period for the Cowboys to just make the Super Bowl every year. We're watching right now so right now, halftime, Bills are up 34-3 on the Jaguars. Doug Peterson's coaching position grabs at this point.
So he's the new Dallas Cowboy coach is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
No, you realize that's what he would do.
He has won a Super Bowl. That was the reason why they hired Mike McCarthy.
He's the Dallas Cowboy. I'm 1,000% going.
Please don't put that in there.
Now, maybe he tries to go more defensively, but what scares me is he's then going to give Mike Zimmer a head coaching job.
Cleveland is in the red zone. Burrow throws an incomplete pass. Washington is up 14-7 with 5:30 left in the second quarter.
It's been a good game.
It's been a pretty good game. I'm kind of surprised that Washington is doing as well as they have, only because Cincinnati should be pretty desperate and they should be playing a little bit tougher than they are right now. But, this is early in the season.
Are they getting passes because Burrows gets hurt?
That, and they made the Super Bowl recently.
Yeah, but that's 4 years ago.
This is a team that typically, they don't have much postseason success, and they made it back-to-back AFC title appearances. They kind of own the Chiefs since Burrow's been in the league.
And when he's healthy, he's still amazing. Like he does, even in the back-to-back years of starting struggling. It's not because he's played. He might not have played his best, but he hasn't played terrible.
McPherson kicks a field goal. Bengals cut the deficit to 4 points. So 14-10 Washington.
Fried chicken head, getting a little hungry. Sorry, what?
We have some leftover Marcos.
No. Studio wife pleading about while we're eating.
Oh, well, sorry, buddy.
She said no shame either. That's the sad thing. No shame at all. All right, let's see. What else you want to go? I guess we're almost getting close to
I think we covered most of it. Let me see. Let's see. Giants we covered, Packers we covered, Colts we covered. That was an ugly game.
Arizona once again losing, but looking good. I'm telling you, man.
The hook and ladder play.
Figure it out, and I could see them doing that later in the season. They start to figure things out. There is still a lot of talent on that Cardinal team, man.
There's hope, like we both saw last season with Dobbs at quarterback, but now they have a healthy Marvin Harrison Jr., a better offensive line. Motive Hunter, that team looks pretty good, and Budda Baker is always there in the secondary on the defensive side.
Remember, he wanted traded.
Man, I wish the Cowboys could have got him.
They would use him wrong. Yeah, they put him at defensive end.
I was gonna say linebacker.
I saw something on Kyler Murray that now that I've read, I can't unsee it. Kyler Murray, when he scrambles, looks like a toddler who stole his parents' cell phone.
Oh man,
is he wrong though?
Is he really 5'10"? No. And is he really 195? Because
he's 175. I've stood next to Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And this was in high school, or when he was in high school. Mm-hmm. And he might have grown, but I'm shade over 6 foot and almost 6'1". I stood up. I not towered, but I was comfortable talking to him. You're comfortably taller than him.
He looks so small, but he's very effective.
I don't think, other than times you can tell he struggles to see over the line.
Yeah,
but he has been perfect line at quarterback.
So yeah, like Trey McBride, I like what they make that offense is. Yeah, I think that's a very good Detroit team.
What were your thoughts on Indianapolis and Chicago?
Boring. Good for the Colts so they could run the ball. I'm worried about Anthony Richardson. I was big on Shane Steichen as a head coach because of what he did with Philadelphia 2 years ago and what he did with Garner last season when they almost won the division in the AFC South.
Yeah.
I have not been impressed with Shane Steichen's play calling, especially last week. This week was better. Last week was terrible. You do not have Anthony Richardson throwing it like he did last week in Green Bay. We're not going to throw the ball. We're just going to hand it off to Josh Jacobs. And we're going to keep it close. Feel free to ball.
Yeah.
And Steichen decided to pass the ball, and Richardson threw 3 interceptions. But this week, I guess he learned from his mistake last week. He gave the ball to Taylor, and Taylor had a big game.
Well, the thing that you forgot to add about last week was Taylor was having a monster game. Like last week, he had like 100 yards on like 7 carries.
It was yeah. So Jonathan Taylor,
he looks really good, dude. Yesterday, he looked really good.
So to your point, my problem with their week 2 loss was that Taylor didn't run the ball enough.
Yeah,
that was it, and they just kept throwing the ball. I don't know why.
I agree with you 100%. Now we do have to remember this is basically Anthony Richardson's rookie year.
Yes,
he basically played a game, and he didn't even play a full game. He got hurt in like 3rd play.
Yeah,
missed a game, came back and got hurt like in the 3rd drive. So I mean, this is legitimately his rookie year, and you can see it. I think though the thing that they're in danger of, and this is what happens when you have a rookie like that, is they get reliant on the cannon of the arm, and they're not developing him in the little smaller parts of the game. That's the only thing I'm worried about for Chicago. Look, dude, you've got to get an offensive line, or why didn't you just keep Justin Fields? You know, I know in college, Caleb Williams was mobile, and he's mobile to an extent, but he was.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is a running back who can throw the ball, and I mean that as a Justin Fields fan. I just keep looking at this team going, they might be 3-0 if Justin Fields was their quarterback, and not because he's better than Caleb necessarily, but in that system is perfect for it.
Yeah.
They built that system around him, and then they got rid of him.
If Matt Eberflus, the head coach for the Bears,
future Cowboy head coach.
God. Here we go. If they do right the second half of the season, they might go 7-2. And thank you. Okay. They might go 7-2.
They're still in prime spot for the playoffs.
They're still in prime spot. I just think that offense is going to need some time. So looking at the rest of the scores, I'm thinking, what do you feel about what Dave Canales did with the Panthers and benching your number 1 pick from last season, Bryce Young, start a veteran quarterback, go into Vegas, go on the road, win big.
Yeah.
You know, they won 36-22, but the score wasn't even that close.
No.
What do you think the ramifications will be for the rest of the league? Do you think other teams are going to start doing that with their young quarterbacks?
No. Bryce Young's not coming back. That's a decision of, we're not going forward with him. There's not any other young quarterbacks that have reached that yet. As far as the guys that we're all talking about, the Caleb Williamses, the even Anthony Richardson, all them, none of them are in danger of that. This was, and honestly, for all the defending of Bryce Young we all did, yesterday showed exactly what can happen. Because look, Andy Dalton will do this. Andy Dalton will look good for 4 games, and then he has become that guy as a veteran backup quarterback. But it shows you that the talent around wasn't as inept as everybody kept defending. Yeah, they got rid of 3 core players, and that was stupid.
Yeah.
But it's not like they don't have talent, and it's like they don't have guys that can do it. And, I think this is the end for Bryce Young. If I'm teams that feel – like Dallas did, and don't offer a 4th round like Dallas did, but like Dallas did with Trey Lance. I think that's where Bryce Young is now. And the thing is, as much as Trey Lance only got like 7 games.
Yeah.
Bryce Young is in 18 now?
Jaden Daniels scores a touchdown.
Oh, already? Wow, dude.
20-10 Washington.
Tell you what, man, we might be on year 2 of the AFC not being as good as we thought it was. Because this is kind of starting out like last year, where you look on paper and you're like, man, they have this, 12 out of 16 teams deep, and they're really not. And again, there's also a way to go in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, Will Levis, as they're showing on the highlight, I think Will Levis is the closest to that.
Yeah.
I think he's very close to the Bryce Young situation.
And if Denver didn't show out like they did yesterday, I would have thought Denver would have been another spot too. Because
Bo Nix?
well, I mean, they would have been 0-3 had they lost.
Oh no, that's their guy. Like, no.
I know they believe, but they have, they have a couple of guys there to get through the season. Bo Nix needs some more time.
I think now again, if they're going like 0-8, yeah, I agree. But I think Sean Payton still has enough comfort there that he's not going anywhere. That they have a big, and they should. Bo Nix is going to be a perfectly fine quarterback. Look, Bo Nix is never going to throw for 308 every game. He's never going to put up Drew Brees numbers. But you saw yesterday that if he gets comfortable in that system, will provide him.
And when Peyton's system works, especially like late 2000s, he had Pierre Thomas, he had Reggie Bush, and then in the late 2010s, he had Alvin Kamara, and he also had he had a Rolodex of RB2s complimenting him. But
he had what's his name, who then went to the Lions and came back, Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
You're right, and that's the thing that's always been what he did well with the Saints is, Michael Colston would be your guy for a few years, and then let's move on. Let's go to the next one.
Think about Peyton was the OC for the Giants in the what was named the Thunder and Lightning duo of Tiki Barber and Ron Dane.
Wow.
I don't know what just happened.
They're showing all the quarterbacks who completed a pass to Terry McLaurin.
Oh, yeah.
They're showing Redskin helmets.
Oh.
Now they tried their best to kind of where you couldn't tell what it was, but I legitimately last year they were showing Fox and they showed an old, I can't remember who it was. And they just kind of blurred it out. Not enough to where it was like, oh my God, they're blurring out, but enough to know that if you look, I was going to look immediately because, America, Indians.
I wonder if North Fulton called to Troy Aikman to do him a favor.
Like he did in 2 games in 95. But
it's true. I read it online.
Read it online. It's true. Let me see here. We talked about New Giants, talked about the Jets, talked about the Colts, you talked about Denver. The thing about Denver, folks, that's Baker Mayfield. He's going to have those games.
Yeah, that and the Raider loss, those are the 2 most shocking losses of the week for me. I cannot believe that they lost like that, both teams. And I just don't think, I didn't realize the Broncos were that good defensively, or it's just like you said, Baker's going to have a few games like that where he's just going to crap the bed.
Well, and I also think Tampa has really good talent at certain spots, but like Rachaad White's been banged up, and offensive line is okay, but it's not where it was a couple years ago when they won the Bowl. And it wasn't like Mayfield went out and threw for 7 interceptions and all, but the offensive line blocked for him.
But he did get sacked 7 times.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said 7. But that was the issue. The offensive, and you're just going to have those games in the NFL. And you and I were talking about it before. I think teams now are more willing when they're getting their butts kicked to just pack it in.
Yeah,
just be like, we're it's a simple game,
like Jose Mourinho, parking the bus, packing it in.
Well, no, that's when you're trying to save it or trying to keep a goal out.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Soccer reference. Sorry, y'all.
Why is Mike McDaniel in danger of losing his job this year?
Yes.
Because I know Tua is a good quarterback. I have no problem with that. But you have enough talent that I'm not saying plug any quarterback in, but you should be able to plug any quarterback in.
For some reason, that Lillard Thompson, I never saw the potential 2 years ago.
I didn't either.
I still don't see the potential as of Sunday. I don't know why.
There's no reason that offense only scored 3 points against the Seattle defense that's perfectly average.
Seattle is 3-0, but
I mean their defense alone.
Yeah, there was there was 17-3 for so long in that game. A competent team could have made that one really, or 17-17 all really quick. And Miami just didn't have the quarterback. aptitude. It's just I don't know why they didn't get like a Jameis Winston,
Yeah.
someone competent enough to just get in there and throw it deep. To I could go there, take 3 steps back, and chunk it as far as I can. Maybe now I could only throw like 50 yards, but chunk it to Tyreek Hill or Waddle, and still have a chance.
Well, and it's the other thing too is their game plan is like if you just mildly trust your quarterback, you've got enough people around him that they should be able to not run things 100%. But Skyler's been there for 3 years now.
Yeah,
I mean, this isn't a guy you brought in on Monday and you're like, hey, we're going to scale the offense back because he doesn't know the playbook. I mean, he should know the playbook,
which he does, and the coaching staff says that's what he knows, that he knows the playbook.
I mean, they were, I don't know. And again, Seattle, great that they're 3-0. They're also one of the teams that watch. They'll be 3-0, and then in 10 weeks they'll be 4-4.
Yeah,
and it's not a knock on them. They're just a perfectly fine team. When they're good, they're good. When they're bad. Geno Smith, he's like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And by the way, we go back to why are quarterback numbers down. There's way more Baker Mayfields and Geno Smiths right now than there are Josh Allens and stuff like that. And that's why when a Dak Prescott comes due, you have to sign.
Yeah.
Because whether you like him or not, and you can point to playoffs, but you got to get to the playoffs before you can win the playoff game. When a quarterback like Dak, you go again, first half frustrating. Look at that second half. That second half, that was the Dak Prescott we've seen even the last couple of years when they've been 12-5 and 12-5, where he takes a team that's trailing scores and puts him on his shoulders. And at least I still contend if they get the ball back offensively, they win the game. At worst, they kick a field, but they win the game because they had not figured out, but they're starting to really hurt the Ravens defense.
I agree with that earlier in the day, but now that I think about it, I feel like it would have just been like an interception at some point.
I don't. I really don't.
I just feel like they would have been pressing and they would have thrown or Dak would have thrown an interception. It could have been a tip pass, whatever.
See, I didn't feel like they were in a rhythm, which I'm hoping that one of the positives of playing so quick is they continue that rhythm. In Dallas, if they do what they should do, will have a weird distinction of being 2-0 on the road and 0-2 at home. But no, I do genuinely disagree with you on that one. I get where you're coming from with that, but I'm just talking about in that game, second half, even with him and CeeDee Lamb, they're on the wrong page right now. And I think a lot of that's just simply CeeDee not being there for camp.
That goes back to the playoff game against Green Bay.
Well, yeah, it does. But I still think a lot of it's just him not being at camp.
Yeah, that also, yeah.
And also Lamb this year, and I get why, because of injury, he didn't go to the normal offseason thing that Dak has where they will work. They will be fine. I have, people are already trying to make a deal about them arguing on the sidelines. Yeah. That happens. Hell, look at Pat Mahomes. Look like he's trying to give. Man, Travis Kelce just looks sad right now. Like it feels like the cliff came for him, and he might not even be a 500-yard guy this year.
He came on in the second half of last night's game, but yeah, there's definitely like a phasing out process with Travis Kelce, or they're just conserving him. I don't know, but like right now, he's not being used.
Well, he's not being told that because he looks like he has to look at Taylor Swift's butt. He just doesn't look at it. Speaking of that game, I know everybody else is different, but I'm looking at the one and going, they're going to be all right.
They're going to be very.
They've literally been in games with really good teams that they should have won and didn't. That's that learning process.
Yeah,
they're going to be perfectly fine. Again, though, use Bijan Robinson. Quit trying to. That was the whole reason Arthur Smith got fired.
Yeah,
Arthur Blank said it. Like, look, at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily where they were at the end of the year. It was that they felt like they had this guy that they've drafted as a franchise guy, and we don't want to hurt him. We don't want to use him too much. No, use him. In fact, use the running back as long as you can and then get rid of him. I still think Atlanta's going to be fine, though.
Yeah, I mean, NFC South's proving to be a very competent division. They got New Orleans and Tampa 2-1. They look like teams that could be in the playoffs. Atlanta and Carolina with a new quarterback and Andy Dalton look like a playoff team. So I'm excited to see what this division does in the next few weeks, just to see if there's actually pretenders or contenders.
All right, let's go. Now, I promise you next week we'll start the Patreon fantasy show. It's just been a couple 2 weeks.
So right now the Bills are up 34-10 in the third quarter on the Jags, and right now the Bengals are driving with 30 seconds left, and they're down 21-10 against Washington. Burrow rolls out to his right, incomplete pass, 36 coming up.
All right, let's finish off the show with our fantasy stuff. I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
Would you pick up and start or not? Here we go. New York Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors. Was this a one-time thing, or is this a guy that's going to become a production machine?
He did it back-to-back weeks, and he's a rookie. And, yeah, I'll pick him up.
Jawan Jennings.
Pick him up.
Andy Dalton.
Pick him up. I think he's going to finish the season as the starter. We'll have a better idea of him next week.
I think he's a good bye week quarterback. If your guys, when Josh, for 1 week, it's not going to hurt you too bad. Here's an interesting one: Braylon Allen.
Oh, the backup running back for the New York Jets. So right now, the New York Jets, they're rolling out Breece Hall and Braylon Allen back-to-back.
I guess
weeks.
Michael Carter's not even on the.
He's not even on the Jets.
Is he off the team? Okay, man. Again, another guy who doesn't. Anyway, sorry. I'll tell you what, Breece Hall's been perfectly fine, but in today's NFL, there's a world where Braylon Allen becomes RB1 just simply because he might be a little bit more explosive than Breece Hall. But right now, I like that combination. Sam Darnold. I picked him up in 2 leagues for backups.
I did too,
and I might even trade. I'm using one to possible trade bait. I think, I will say this. I said this at the beginning of the year in our predictions. I have Minnesota going to the playoffs. Yeah. I have Minnesota going to the division round. I think they're going to be perfectly fine because at the day, I think Sam Darnold's just kind of like a lot of Cousins. He just needed a place to where he could flourish and not have to be the guy. All right, a couple defenses staying in the NFC North. If you need a defense, do you pick up Green Bay?
I pick up Green Bay just because defensive stats in fantasy football are predicated on sacks, turnovers of any sort, interceptions, fumbles. And I think Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator of Packers, is really good at causing chaos in the backfield. And kind of like with Dan Quinn, like creating pressure, generating turnovers. And that's what is going to be conducive to a lot of points in fantasy.
And that's the same thing with Minnesota as well.
That is the same thing.
Yep. I am, unless I just like all year, I tend to use the who's playing the worst offenses. The problem is, though, is like you say, is sometimes, a lot of times, you think the worst offenses, like statistically, are also at turnover. They're worse because they just can't keep the ball because they're punting. That doesn't help your defensive stats. You'd rather give up 24 points but get 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, and a fumble return than to give up 7 points, 1 sack.
And I bet a lot of people in week 3 picked up the Raiders defense because they were playing home game against the Panthers.
Yep. And
that would have been a bad idea because the quarterback changed.
All right. I think we're done here, buddy.
Nice. Bengals just got a field goal, 21-13 Commanders.
They're going to come back and win 35-31.
Probably.
But Jay Daniel's starting to look good. You're starting to see the rookie quarterbacks play a little bit better.
Yeah. Bills are in command going in the third quarter. Halftime in Cincinnati. So, yeah, I think we're at a good stopping point. What do you want? Anything else you want to talk about?
If you want to email the show, odtcshow@gmail.com. We'll be back in our normal format next week. Apologize for the start of this. That's the thing that sucks about this sometimes. We've been hanging out, getting all excited, and then the show gets derailed. I think we brought it back nicely, but we do appreciate everybody hanging on and coming back, press with everybody coming back over to the new stream.
Thank you.
We thank you so much. And until next time, he's intern Noe the Pro. I'm Terry the host. This is